I'm Denise.
I'm Katie.
I've been friends with Katie for over 20 years.
I cannot believe it's been 20 years.
This is
88 Chat,
where we talk about really random crap. Advisory, disclaimer, this is just our opinion. Please don't take it as fact. Don't send hate to anybody. We want to love everybody. Today's topic, we're talking about toxic masculinity, and also at the other end of the spectrum, toxic feminism or femininity. We'll get into that, what we mean by that, a little bit later. Welcome back, everybody. This is 88 Chats. Toxic masculinity, like it's a problem, yes, because guys think we're property and that we can be controlled, or they want to control the situation. The only thing they can't do is mansplain to everything.
Mansplaining. What it takes to think that somehow your opinion is more valuable than a qualified person just because you have a penis. I mean, really.
Why does your opinion matter more than mine? Just because I'm a woman doesn't mean I'm less of a person than you are. Because when men think of jobs for women, they think of secretaries or educator or retail salesperson. It is really annoying when that happens, because like I have as much knowledge as you do, if not more, if I am in that field. Like my major is in criminology and criminal justice. A lot of people like say like you should teach guys to respect women more. If you look up this YouTube video, I think it was Argentina or something, where they did a video where guys would catcall their mother in disguise. And the mother, like, they told me that you were saying this. Oh my God, I did not raise you. And then I think a couple of them hit them with their purse. And they're trying to make us go, Mama, I didn't know it was you. This is how you talk to women. It's a very funny video. You should totally look it up. Funny thing is, we should teach our children to respect women, but the only person they respect is their mother.
Your mother is a woman. But that's the sad thing, is that in our culture, that to get any respect or even just common decency, you have to tell men that's somebody's mother or that's somebody's daughter or sister. Like, how about we're just a person and treat them like you would treat a person? But yes, it's just very frustrating,
because it goes into the whole nurture versus nature. Because when a child, when they start out, they don't know a thing. And then eventually they learn the stuff from other people. And the people they learn from are usually their parents.
When we talk about nature versus nurture, in a traditional household, there definitely is a tendency for mothers to raise daughters to fulfill their spot. So we are taught to carry all those responsibilities that a mother would have, where they were taught like an apprentice. And boys, because they're not being taught all those things, they are then protected. That's how they end up not learning about any of the responsibilities that a woman might have, or anything about a woman's body, because we hide all of that information. It's always considered secret or taboo. So how many men, even all the way up to politics, who do not understand the basic mechanics of the female reproductive system because they've been protected instead of being educated.
As we know, in families, there is that toxicity there, or a cycle of toxicity, and it keeps on going around and round and round. And there isn't really some person to break it. I listened to this Reddit story about a guy who lived in Australia. He caught his family doing something really horrible to his sister, and he saved his sisters from that situation. And of course, she had to go through a lot of therapy to get better, because of what they're doing. But a lot of the family members turned a blind eye to it. And luckily, he never went through that yet. I'm pretty sure eventually they were probably going to get to that. But he stopped it. he broke the wheel, and I think during the story his mother divorces his father, and she asked to see her daughters again, and the brother said no because he had guardianship and legal adoption of his siblings, and he said no, you can't see my sister right now, because one, she's not ready for that, and two, I can't trust you. You haven't done the legwork for me to trust you with them anymore. If he didn't do that, if he were to turn a blind eye, the cycle would continue. That story also goes to show there's a little bit of a spectrum here. Earlier, when I just said toxic femininity, I don't think a lot of people understand what I mean by toxic femininity. Women are guarded as more mature because we mature faster, we live longer. I wonder why that is. We take on a lot more in general because they have to be the mother, the wife, the sister, the child, all this stuff. And then you also have to include all the hurdles that they have to go through to get where they are. But there's so many ways that women can go through these stages. Some women don't want to have kids. Someone prefers jobs, or somebody wants to be a homemaker, and other stuff. We run into toxic femininity when we think of extreme feminism, the one that bashes men, hates men, and think we're better. It becomes to the point where it's really toxic. And instead of saying that, like boosting women up, other women up for what they decide and supporting them, they kind of tear them down because of what they chose to do. Example, a register where a husband was supporting his wife in a career which was male dominated. Eventually, she decides to leave her corporate job to become a stay-at-home wife for a little bit because she just had her second child and she wanted to take care of her child for a couple of years, due to the pandemic. She said like that was more fulfilling to me than this corporate job. She never said that she wasn't going to go back. She just said, I just want to stay home for a couple of years and be with my children. Her husband supported it, but her sister and mother didn't. They said like, oh, you're just conforming to toxic masculinity. You're conforming to what society has told you. And that's where we run into that toxicity, where they're not supporting her, they're bashing her for her decision to just be a stay-at-home mom, and don't understand how hard it is to be a stay-at-home mom.
The mother and sister are acting as though being a stay at home parent is a bad thing. And what that comes down to is internalizing the idea that that is somehow lesser, which is not treating anyone as equal. So it defeats the whole purpose of feminism to begin with. If you want equal rights for women, great. That's what we want. We want to be equal. And as an equal, you should have the ability to choose your own life path. When we first talked about this privately, I remember you using the term breaking the glass ceiling, but that does not mean that that has to be an individual person's sole life mission. It is not my job as a singular person that I have to break every single boundary. That's not my job. It's not your job. It's not any of our job. Yes, we all should have that goal together, but at the end of the day, your life is yours and you should get to make your own choices. And it is very sad to witness that toxicity amongst our peers because being a stay-at-home parent is traditionally viewed as a feminine job. To be told that your choice is bad means that you don't view me as an equal.
I don't think anybody should downplay anybody's life. There is so much done on both sides. We're falling into that same circle as men are, thinking we're better than men, thinking that we should break every barrier and crush it, but at the same time not supporting the people who are helping the other side. Anybody and everybody is capable of doing something horrible. It doesn't matter who it is or what gender they are fully capable. of doing something really horrible to another person. This is one reason why I don't really trust many people. A lot of people don't hear statistics of men who have been abused by women, because it goes into the whole toxic masculinity that they have to be strong. They have to try to let it go, and then trauma happens, and then it becomes a whole mess for that person.
When it comes to things like domestic violence, that is definitely where toxic masculinity does come into play. People do have this idea that, well, you're a man, so you should be bigger and stronger and braver and tougher. It's not fair to put the onus of responsibility on the victim. If a man is a victim of violence, you are a victim, period. But not all abuse is automatically physical. There's emotional abuse and mental abuse, manipulation, gaslighting. Those are the mechanisms that facilitate abuse, and make someone feel trapped in a situation. That is definitely where toxic masculinity and the idea that you must be in charge and have the power is hurting men just as much as it's hurting women. And that's where these polar opposites of toxic masculinity and toxic feminism are such a problem, because feminism should be helping everyone. It's not just helping women, it's helping men as well. Because if we are all equal, we should all be treated equally. And that includes situations of helping victims. That should include male victims as well.
Let's just admit it. Both men and women are both horrible. Ignorance is not bliss when it comes to either genders. Everybody's capable of doing something horrible, and everybody's capable of doing something great.
We're all just looking to live our lives, whatever that looks like to you as an individual. But it is very difficult when there are such dominant societal structures in play that maintain the system. And it's a difficult subject to broach, because we have to look at things like how religion plays in to these stereotypes and these toxic situations, because most monotheistic religions have a core of similar values. So one of the dominant tenets is that the man is the head of the household and that a wife should be submissive and secondary. And as long as the church maintains its power over our culture, that toxicity is going to remain, because the people who have power want to keep it, whether that means that they're in politics or the head of a church where they're getting their own personal planes, for example. And this is where we're stuck. It's so, and because these religions are as old as they are so deeply ingrained in the fabric of the way people interact with each other. And that's a very hard thing to unpack. And it ends up affecting all of us.
Because you mentioned religion, I'm going to also mention culture. Because a lot of culture, women are in second place to men. There's a whole reason why Chinese people are having a problem right now, because Asian culture value men over girls. Sometimes we can't get to a spot that we want without help from the other side, because sometimes the people who have the power to change things are the people who are on the other side. Women fought for the right to vote and change and everything, but they didn't get there by themselves. They had help from men who believe in women, who believe that they can be better for this world. I want to say this: we need to have a balance. We need to find a balance. We need to support each other, especially in these times, because everybody has issues. Let's just play into that. Everybody has issues. It's how you deal with those issues is what comes into question. Because some guys are very feminine, they get pushed by guys to be masculine, to be what the stereotype is. Same thing with women. Women, if they're too butch, they get made fun of. So that's my final thoughts. How about you, Katie? Any last
Um,
words?
Part of the problem with these toxic polar opposites is just the fact that we view gender on a binary in general. If we only view things as person type A and person type B, and they must be different and one of them must be better, that's where the problem is. And there are so many people that do not fit anywhere on that binary. And that's just something that I think that we should keep in mind.
Basically, as long as we make sure that we don't fall into either one's toxic category, I think we'll be fine.
Thanks for watching this episode of 88 Chat. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment.